Welcome back to Mystery Minds, the place where the darkest secrets come to light. Today, we're diving into the heartbreaking case of Melody Hoffman, a 20-year-old woman whose trusting nature made her the perfect target in a crime so brutal it shocked an entire community. But this wasn't just a random act of violence. It was carefully planned, carried out by people she knew. And as the investigation unfolded, so did a disturbing truth. Get ready, because this story has layers: a secret pregnancy, a deadly love triangle, and accomplices who helped cover it all up. Let's get into it. In February 2024, 20-year-old Melody Hoffman was a bright and friendly young woman from Marion, Iowa. She had a close relationship with her mom, Megan, but like many young adults, she kept some things to herself. On the night of Saturday, February 17th, without saying a word, Melody quietly left her house around 11:30 p.m. A camera inside the home showed her phone lighting up, possibly from a message or a call. She got into a blue Honda Accord and disappeared into the night. Melody's mom soon noticed her leaving through a location-sharing app called Life 360. She messaged her daughter. "Are you kidding me right now?" Melody replied, "I'll be back." But sadly, that would be the last time Megan ever heard from her. Megan kept messaging Melody, trying to get her to come home and turn her location back on. At one point, Melody responded with odd formal messages that didn't sound like her at all. Megan didn't realize at the time, but she may not have been texting her daughter. She may have been texting her daughter's killer. The final message from Melody's phone came at 3:13 a.m. It was an emergency notification from Apple saying the phone had detected a crash. Megan rushed to the location and found the phone lying face down, damaged and stripped of its case. All recent data had been wiped. The next morning, a woman named Amy was at Lily Lake, about 30 minutes south of Marion, when a couple approached her in shock. They believed they'd found a body. Amy looked and immediately called 911. When police arrived, they found Melody face down in the grass, wearing only her underwear. Her back was covered in slash wounds. The autopsy revealed she had been strangled to death, and many of the wounds were inflicted after she had already died. It looked like the scene had been staged to appear as a sexually motivated attack. But investigators believed Melody had been killed elsewhere and then left at the lake. Melody Hoffman was born in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, in December 2003. She went to Liberty High School and later enrolled at Kirkwood Community College. She dreamed of working in healthcare, maybe in a nursing home. But school was tough. Her grades slipped, and she eventually had to drop out. Melody had been diagnosed with a mild intellectual disability, meaning that while she looked and acted like a typical 20-year-old, her thinking and decision-making were more like that of a 12 to 14-year-old. She was incredibly loving, trusting, and kind, traits that unfortunately also made her easy to manipulate. Since she couldn't finish school, Melody decided to follow her passion for animals. She volunteered at the local animal shelter and was known for her big heart and friendly nature. Her family said she loved everyone and didn't know a stranger. On the night she left home, Melody told her mom she was just hanging out with friends. A little while later, she posted a Snapchat video from the back seat of a car, happily singing along to music, even though she didn't seem to know the lyrics. That would be the last video of her alive. After Melody's body was found, the community came together to grieve. A vigil was held to honor her joyful spirit, and Megan, her mom, handed over Melody's phone and location data to investigators. That data led police to Morgan Creek Park. There, her Apple Watch had recorded a sudden spike in heart rate, likely the moment she was attacked. Before going silent, her phone then moved back toward Marion, before finally heading south to Lily Lake. With this information, detectives began looking closely at Melody's ex-boyfriend, 20-year-old McKinley Lisma, also known as Ken. Melody had dated McKinley for about 2 months. He was her first boyfriend. She was heartbroken when he broke up with her in December, especially because he went back to his ex, a woman named Nikia, who was pregnant. Melody and McKinley argued on Facebook after the breakup. At one point, Melody even threatened to call the police. Then, on the same day, McKinley went to Melody's house to get his stuff. She got a disturbing anonymous text. "I hate you and your family ain't safe." The sender was never confirmed, but Megan believed it came from McKinley. The very next day, after receiving the emergency alert from Melody's phone, Megan reached out to McKinley. He said he hadn't seen Melody and stuck to that story when police interviewed him. But traffic cameras told a different story. Footage showed his blue Honda Accord picking up Melody late that Saturday night. His car was later seen near Morgan Creek Park, where Melody may have been attacked, then near her home again, and finally heading to Lily Lake. His cell phone data matched this exact route. Surveillance footage also showed McKinley and another man buying cigars at a gas station in Cedar Rapids shortly after the murder. That man turned out to be Dakota Van Patten. Once police had enough evidence, they brought McKinley in for questioning. At first, he stuck to his story. He hadn't seen Melody that weekend and had nothing to do with her murder. But detectives already knew that wasn't true. They had traffic footage, phone records, and even receipts showing his movements. When asked about the Walmart trip, McKinley admitted to buying a machete. He claimed it was for camping, even though he never actually went on the trip. Detectives weren't convinced, and they pressed harder. While McKinley was being questioned, officers searched his Honda Accord. What they found was chilling. In the front seat, they spotted a machete handle sticking out from beside the seat. They also found packaging for 2 more machetes, a serrated knife, gloves, duct tape, and a receipt showing it had all been bought at Walmart. But it was the trunk that revealed the true horror. Inside a large plastic bag, they found a bloody pink shirt and a pair of black leggings, clothes Melody was known to wear. There was also the blood-stained band from her Apple Watch, gloves, duct tape with Melody's hair stuck to it, her phone case, and a piece of paracord, the kind of rope used in climbing. Investigators believed this rope was the murder weapon. Faced with all this evidence, McKinley broke down. He asked to leave, saying, "This is too much for me right now," but he wasn't off the hook. Later, he came back with a new version of the story. This time, he admitted he was with Melody that night, but claimed he didn't kill her. He said his new friend, Dakota Van Patten, was the one who did it. According to McKinley, they were just riding around when Dakota got the idea that Melody might have money because she had talked about buying McKinley a PlayStation. Dakota, he claimed, started whispering something, then pulled out a gun and told McKinley to tie Melody up. McKinley said he thought it was all a joke, until Dakota pressed the gun to his head. Terrified, he duct-taped Melody's hands. When she started panicking and said her mom could see her location, they turned it off, though McKinley claimed he later turned it back on, hoping her mom would find her. He said Dakota took Melody's phone and started replying to texts from her mom, pretending to be her. Eventually, they drove to Lily Lake. McKinley claimed Dakota took Melody out of the car and led her away. He said he stayed by the car and couldn't stop what happened next. Detectives weren't buying it. If McKinley had really been forced to help at gunpoint, why didn't he report it? Why lie for hours during the first interview? Even more telling, the weapons found in the car had only Dakota's DNA, not McKinley's. But that didn't clear McKinley completely. Investigators believed McKinley planned the whole thing and brought Dakota in to help carry it out. At Dakota's house, police found more of the same paracord used in the murder. They also found Melody's eyeglasses at the foot of his bed. As detectives dug deeper, they uncovered a third person involved, 18-year-old Logan Kimpton. Security footage from Walmart showed McKinley, Dakota, and Logan buying the murder supplies together: 3 machetes, gloves, and duct tape. When Logan was interviewed, he admitted that all 3 of them had planned to kill Melody, but he backed out at the last minute. He said he was at his girlfriend's apartment when the murder happened. Even though Logan claimed he didn't take part in the actual killing, He was still charged with conspiracy and willful injury for helping plan it. McKinley and Dakota were both charged with first-degree murder, kidnapping, and conspiracy. They pleaded not guilty and were held in jail while awaiting trial. McKinley pushed for a speedy trial, which began in November 2024. Prosecutors laid out the full story. They said Melody was lured into a trap by someone she trusted. They believed the plan to kill her started at Morgan Creek Park, and she was later dumped at Lily Lake. They argued that the crime was cruel, calculated, and senseless, and that Melody was treated inhumanely in her final hours. They also introduced one possible motive. Melody had recently become pregnant. The autopsy found pregnancy hormones in her body, though no one in her life, including her mom, knew about it. Prosecutors suggested that McKinley, already expecting a baby with his girlfriend Nikia, might have seen Melody's pregnancy as a threat. They believed he asked Dakota and Logan to help him get rid of that problem. The defense, however, had a different story. They said McKinley didn't know Melody was pregnant. They argued he had no reason to want her dead, and that Dakota was the real killer. They claimed McKinley was scared and didn't have the power to stop what happened. To add more confusion, it came out in court that McKinley might not have been the father of Nikia's baby either. Nikia admitted she didn't know who the father was at the time of the murder, and a DNA test later showed it wasn't McKinley. Still, the prosecution focused on his actions. He lied repeatedly, bought the murder weapons, picked Melody up, and was present for her death. Whether or not he delivered the final blow, he had played a major role. Witnesses also testified about incriminating things the suspects had said. One woman, a friend of Dakota's, told the jury that Dakota came to her house right after the murder and said, "I killed someone." When she asked who, he replied, "That Melody girl," and said he'd done it with Ken McKinley's nickname. But under cross-examination, the witness got confused and said she wasn't sure anymore if Dakota had said he was with anyone. Another man said that Logan had told him, before the murder, that he planned to kill someone with McKinley and Dakota. Yet he, too, admitted he had trouble remembering the details clearly. Though the witness statements were shaky, the digital evidence was solid. McKinley's phone showed Google searches for ski masks, gloves, and the exact two parks where the crime took place, just hours before he picked up Melody. Police also found disturbing photos on McKinley's phone, including one of Melody with duct tape over her mouth and a bloody nose. In another, Dakota posed wearing Melody's glasses in a bedroom after the murder. As the trial wrapped up, the prosecutors gave a final message to the jury. Melody Hoffman had been betrayed by someone she trusted. They said McKinley, along with Dakota Van Patten, strangled her, mutilated her, and left her body on the shore of a cold lake, all to erase a problem they didn't want to face. She wanted a future with him, the prosecutor said, but he didn't. McKinley's defense stuck to their argument that he didn't take part in the killing. They claimed Dakota was responsible and that McKinley was afraid to intervene. They tried to raise doubt about McKinley's motives, especially since he may not have even been the father of either baby. But in the end, the jury wasn't convinced. After just a little over an hour of deliberation, the jury returned with their verdict: guilty of first-degree murder, guilty of first-degree kidnapping, guilty of conspiracy to commit a forcible felony at the sentencing. Melody's mom, Megan, stood up and addressed McKinley directly. She reminded him of the rules she'd set when he first started dating Melody. She had asked for respect, honesty, and kindness. "You broke every single one of my rules," she said. "You messed with the wrong family." Megan told him he could never fit into a loving family because he didn't know what love really meant. Then she pointed out that none of McKinley's own family members even showed up to support him during trial. McKinley was sentenced to life in prison, without the possibility of parole. Dakota Van Patten's trial is scheduled to begin in March 2025, and Logan Kimpton's trial, originally set for late 2024, was pushed to April 2025. Though the journey to justice for Melody isn't fully over yet, her mother and her community have taken the first major step in holding her killers accountable. Melody Hoffman will be remembered for her love of animals, her joyful spirit, and her endless kindness. A young woman who saw the good in everyone, even in the people who didn't deserve it. Melody Hoffman was a kind and gentle soul, taken far too soon by people she trusted. Her case reminds us of a hard truth. Sometimes the real danger hides behind a familiar face. As the trials for the remaining suspects unfold, one thing is clear: justice is only just beginning. Thank you for joining me on this emotional journey through one of Iowa's most chilling true crime stories. If this case moved you, or if you're passionate about bringing light to the darkest mysteries, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Mystery Mind. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and keep your mind open.